Hi, I'm Courtney Leineke back again. This week's discussion is on the film Lean on Me. The film features Morgan Freeman, who plays Joe Clark, a very strong and aggressive principal who takes over Eastside High School in order to change it for the better. Morgan Freeman was shown in our very first discussion as Nelson Mandela in Invictus, and again, he has definitely shown his acting skills as a leader in Lean on Me. I want to focus on Freeman's character a little more than others for this discussion because he shows a lot of characteristics that were given in both sections of the books we read this week. In 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, we read about these four laws: the law of empowerment, the law of the picture, the law of buy in, and the law of victory. Clark tends to relate to a few of these laws, while others he has a bit of trouble to start with. The law of empowerment was one of the very few flaws that Mr. Clark had. It states that only secure leaders give their power to others, which I feel as though in order to give power to others as a leader, you have to be able to trust one another with decisions that could change the future of something bigger than yourselves. Clark didn't trust his faculty and staff at first, and he was very hesitant on making changes within himself. When he started at the school, he immediately demoted Mr. Darnell and treated him lower than most of the teachers at the school. The quote, "To push people down, you have to go down with him," was mentioned in this chapter of the book, and it really relates to this situation. As he pushed Mr. Darnell further and further, the next law presented in the book is the law of the picture, which states that people do what people see. This may be one of the most used laws in the movie. Joe Clark really made sure his students knew the difference between right and wrong and good and bad. I think the law, however, was used in a slightly different approach. Instead of showing his students these examples through himself, he showed them through their peers. That seems to make the most sense to me because students tend to follow more of what their peers are doing, whether it's right or wrong, rather than follow what an adult tells them. The first way he decided to show his students this was by placing every person on stage who was going absolutely nowhere in life, presenting them in front of the entire student body, and then kicking them out completely out of school. Among that group of students was freshman Thomas Sams. When Sams asks to come back to school, Clark takes him on the roof and points out that if he's slowly killing himself with drugs, he may as well kill himself now by jumping off. Also, he makes an example of Sams in the cafeteria by pointing out to the rest of his peers that if they want to look like they're going nowhere, then they should dress like him. One of the best times he shows his students what not to be was when he was arrested for chaining the doors. He says to the students, "I've done something illegal. When you break the law, you pay the consequences." I think the law of buy-in states that people buy into the leader, then the vision. I feel though as though this entire movie could be based off this law. As a leader, your success is measured by your ability to actually take the people where they need to go. But you can do that only if the people first buy into you. This quote in the book stood out to me in relation to the film the most. Clark had a vision to have 75% of Eastside High pass the basic skills test. He came into school and knew what he had to do to make his vision work. First, he showed the teachers and his staff what he was about. He made it known that he was the, quote, HNIC, and he would be taking care of this school and the people in it. Then he showed the students that he was someone to be respected. By kicking out the kids in school who were making everything hard for everyone else, and then making sure his students were in class, he proved to them that he believed in them and he believed that they could make it in the world. The last people he had to win over were the parents, and it's not until the end of the movie when he reads the slip of paper saying the school passed the basic skills test did the parents believe that he could make a change in Eastside High School's student body. The last law we read about, I think, is the most important law, the law of victory. This law states that leaders find a way for the team to win. They don't look for their own success, but the success is within others. In this case, Clark was looking for the success in his students. He saw a way to make a difference in something that he loved and he went after it. but I'll explain that a little bit more on the next slide. Clark's goal for what the school could become didn't change, and he always stuck to what he believed in when it came to his students and his staff. A good way of showing his push towards victory was when he put chains on the doors. He knew it was against the fire laws, and he even made sure there was security outside in order to keep the fire marshal out. But no matter what, he was not taking off those chains in fear of expelled students getting in and damaging the hard work his students had made. He really believed in what he was fighting for. In Emotionally Intelligent Leadership, we read about 3 points that make a wise leader: initiative, empathy, and citizenship. Clark definitely had the initiative when it came to this task of cleaning up Eastside High School. Like I mentioned in the previous slide, he saw a way to make a difference in something he loved, and he went after it. When he was given the chance to become principal, he turned it down because he knew that the school board was only coming to him for one reason: the fact that he was a strong leader. But he set his feelings aside and decided that by turning the school around, it would prove the amount of influence he can have over students. Empathy was his biggest factor of being a great leader. He may have been hard on his students, but he truly cared for and respected them more than anyone. The best example I can think of is when Kenesha tells him that she was kicked out from her home. He literally goes to her house and confronts her mother about this and changes her mind about letting Kenesha back. That really showed me how much he loved his students and that he just wasn't doing this job for himself but for the kids, which leads me to my last point, and that's citizenship. His interests were in the students and their successes, not his own. He really focused on making sure that everything was made for them, not his staff, not himself, and not the parents. The spotlight rested solely on his students, and they prevailed over all doubts. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching, you guys, and hopefully you'll be watching next week.